there's maybe pragmaticism is what we have, right? I think there's a lot of great things about lean, right? There's a lot of great things about agile. There's a lot of great things about the idea of trying to get, like, even waterfall ideals of like trying to understand a problem more before you work on it. There's all good pieces of these things. And so I think being more adaptive to the situation, I think is really the future process, right? So when I talk about like retros being key to your organization, I don't mean it just in the agile way, right? Like I don't mean it that there's a certain set of questions you only ask during retros, right? And that it's related to agile process. But it's really about this fact that you're taking, well, and the truth is there's like 50 types of agile, right? Like there was like an article that had a slide deck that was just like every type of agile thinking that's possible, right? So there's not a lot of like, there's no one right way, right? And it has to be adaptive to the actual situation you're in. I think what's going to be interesting about the process in the future is how do you figure out what the situation is that you're in, right? Right now, we have a lot of clunky tools for figuring that out by doing user research, by defaulting to certain types of processes or cadences, certain types of meeting setups, like, yeah, I think like it's more about like how do we decide which tools are appropriate for this scenario, right? And I think we're constantly trying to understand that, and we do that via retros. But I think like maybe there's something about like for these types of situations, these types of processes works best, right? Because I've seen agile teams that struggle with work that like we've worked with a client where it's like we just need to get this done. Right. And the truth is, they don't want us to be experimenting and doing this interesting stuff. Like they actually in reality don't want to know that much about their customers. Right. We try not to take those jobs, but like, because that's not what we're great at. But that's the problem, is that in those cases, we need to realize that our process that was like all about agile learning is not right for this particular thing. We just need to knuckle down and pound out this thing. Right. So I think that's the thing, is like, we're going to get better at the meta level of what processes should we be using. And it's not just one process. It's a variety of processes that we cobble together, and we constantly adjust. I don't know if I buy that it's going to be that fundamentally different. Like I think it's evolved as time has gone on. Like it's definitely different over the 15 years that maybe I've done product management, right? But the core is still there, right? And I feel like it's true about engineering and design as well, right? Like design is changing, definitely. I think maybe we could talk about like design 5 years out is going to be very different. But like, engineering is still about writing code that you can continue to build on top of as time goes on, right? Like, and it's something that meets a need. That's really what they're doing. And there's always been new tool sets. There's been different development processes. Like, so I think like that's maybe the point. Maybe that's the point I'm trying to get to, is that it's not so much about that product management is going to be so drastically different 5 to 10 years from now, but it's the fact that we feel more comfortable in our own skin, that we are doing something that's inherently valuable, and that over time we still are using a variety of processes, and we're not worried about whether we're providing value or not, right? Because like it's still 15 years in, and people still read articles about what do product managers do, right? And so maybe it's just like maybe the evolution of our role is that people just understand that it's not as simple as writing code or creating mock-ups, which I would say that if you say that about an engineer or a designer, they would bristle at that thought, right? But they don't even know what to say a product manager just does, right? And so maybe that's where I think over the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to get more accustomed to this type of ambiguity, right? And we're going to get more accustomed to not knowing, right? Like getting back to the Dunbar number, we have 100, if 150 is the maximum that we can understand, we now live in a world where 6 billion out of the 8 billion people that live on this earth are actually connected to each other via social media in some way, or the internet in some way, right? Maybe 5 billion, right? But like that's orders of magnitude beyond that Dunbar number. And so the thing that we need to do is like, what are the processes or tools that help us do a better job of understanding that we don't know everything, right? And how do we feel more comfortable? So maybe it's more just like this, maybe it's like a psychological practice of being comfortable in the fact that we don't know.